Hi, it's Neil Bergman from Parallel Coaching. I've come down to our Milton Keynes venue today. We've got a really big guest ready to present to our learners. His name's Aleks Cox from Green Apple Lifestyle. I'm going to introduce you. Over to you, Aleks.
Cheers, Neil. Thanks very much. A little bit about Green Apple Lifestyle, a health improvement consultant specialising in childhood obesity, looking at positive lifestyle changes for children, young people, families, and we're currently working on a programme to get into schools called HOPE, which is Holistic Obesity Prevention Education, which is a three-pronged approach. We look at delivering a 12-week intervention. We look at taking anthropometry, physical measurements for baseline and post-programme evaluation. And the biggest element is trying to elicit policy change, culture change, so almost developing a micro-environment within the schools, which we then hope to, we engage with parents and teachers, governors, local authorities, and we try and sort of translate that change into the wider community and hope to make positive community changes.
Wow, so clear childhood obesity expert and really kind of pushing the boundaries of the way the society is thinking and working with obesity then.
Yeah, really trying to sort of change the ethos and the way it's viewed from being an individual problem or a social problem to actually being, it's a population problem. I'm sure there are very few people in the world who can say they don't know somebody who either or themselves who hasn't got an issue with their weight or had an issue with their weight, or a friend or a relative with the same with issues with their weight, and it's far more than just an appearance issue. And there's a lot of ambivalence. Well, we need to sort of get hold of it really now and start sort of tackling not just individual people's approaches to their own lifestyles, but trying to really modify culture and society and the way it's viewed and the way people manage their lifestyles.
Well, it's absolutely awesome to have you here for presenting on behalf of Parallel Coaching today. So let's explore this obesity subject in a bit more detail. Kind of in short, what's your opinion of obesity now? We're in 2014. How have we got to this place today? BMIs are increasing, there's lots of measurements we can talk about, but what's your opinion for Green Apple Lifestyle? And what information can you give fitness instructors out there in the industry? It
is a really, really difficult subject. It's multifactorial. It really is now the time for multidisciplinary collaborations between the fitness professionals, medical professionals, local government, central government, and one of my favourite words, and I think it's one of your favourite words, congruence.
Sure it is.
We've got to be on the same page. We've got to be working together. We've got to have the same message. We've got to be giving that message to the right audience in the right way. We've got to disseminate that message appropriately, and it isn't easy because we're trying to deliver almost a unified message to a multitude of different audiences, and that is difficult to break that information down to the specific audience. But it's something we've got to start doing, and genuinely believe it's a real culture, society, policy change is the way forward, because it's nice that there's been some noise made recently about sugar restrictions, sugar reductions in the news at the moment. That's definitely a positive step forward. There's talk about taxing sugary drinks, which I think would generate around £1 billion in revenue.
So there's loads of organisations all trying to make their part, but what you're saying is we all need to be on the same page at the same time. And you had this awesome metaphor of a car the other day that we were talking about.
Yeah. Car is a very heavy piece of machinery. If you want to move that car, if you have a number of people trying to move that vehicle from a static position, if you are not all pulling at the same time in the same direction, that car won't move. It will not change direction. It will stay where it is. And it's very much the same thing with childhood obesity and obesity in the general population. If people empower policymakers, medical professionals, fitness professionals, if they aren't pulling in the same direction congruently, then it won't change. It won't change direction. It won't be improved. It won't move. It will actually. One of my fears is it won't stay still. It will actually get worse.
So with Green Apple Lifestyle, I take it that's your position then, is to get everybody behind the car, behind the obesity problem, all pulling in the same direction. Is there any other approaches that you're tackling obesity, childhood obesity with Green Apple Lifestyle? You've mentioned HOPE already as well.
Yeah, the HOPE programme is one that we're really excited about that, really want to get that out there. I think one of the things that we pride ourselves on is it's a difficult world to live in. everybody has a lot of pressure. Families, young families have pressures of single parent families with more than 1, 2, 3 children. They have financial difficulties, economical difficulties. It's not an easy time for people to be living at the moment, and there is a link between socioeconomic background and health and obesity. So what we try and do is, instead of going into a family, or to work with a young family or a young person or a child and say, this is what we think you need to do, we go in and we say, look, this is the problem we've identified. What can we do for you? What can we help you achieve?
Different viewpoint of looking at the problem.
Yeah, it takes away, instead of being didactic and saying, look, obesity is it's a real risk, your child's health is at risk, and you must do this and you must do that and you must do this. People aren't receptive to that, because people, in the back of their minds are thinking, well, hang on a minute, walk a mile in my shoes. That's easy for you to say,
Completely.
What about I've got to do this, I've got these mouths to feed, I've got to get here, I've got to get there. And the approach we take is, look, we've got this problem. You've got this problem. We're going to work together.
How are we going to work?
What can we do for you? How can we support you in making small changes that will improve yours and your family's lifestyle, health, and well-being? And they're sustainable.
As we know, it's just one or two. Just one tiny change, but kick-starts that person into action, and that's like a snowball effect, isn't it?
Absolutely, because
one day, 1 week suddenly becomes a month, and that small lifestyle change makes huge life changing
like you
differences.
say, the snowball. Once you start to see those changes, people they feel empowered, and the 3 words that we use, is to empower, engage, empower, and enable.
Fantastic.
So we engage people, we empower them, and then we enable them, and those are really sort of 3 key words for us. And again, if we give ownership of the changes to the individual with whom we're working, they take responsibility for it, and the changes that they're implementing or trying to implement are their own changes. So they have that sense of duty, and they think, well, this is what we want to do. So they'll try and sort of work that little bit harder and have that little bit more of a commitment to the process, because it's their process.
So we've mentioned changing the client. You've talked about changing kind of how you're moving forwards, and all pulling in the same congruent direction.
Absolutely.
Is there anything that you would change kind of in the health and fitness industry to assist in pulling in the same direction? So for fitness professionals, personal trainers, bridging that gap towards the clinical world, what would you change if you could?
I think it's time there was a greater collaboration between the fitness industry and the medical industry.
Nice.
I think absolutely both industries, both sets of professionals have a hugely important role to play in this field, and I think if we can start getting them to work together to communicate, we can establish congruence, communication, dialogue, pathways, because I think a lot of medical professionals don't really know what fitness professionals do and why they fit. And exactly, and I think if we can start to bridge that gap and unify, collaborate with each other.
So it's putting that multidisciplinary team in, so the fitness instructors talking to the personal trainer, talking to the dietitian, talking to the GPs more, and you're here today to do the exercise referral part.
Absolutely, definitely.
Looking at the chiropractor, the osteopath, the weight management consultants, can we all sit around? When do you reckon we're all going to sit around a table and have that congruent mutual respect?
I don't know, and I hope soon. I mean, I was at a conference in London at the UCL towards the end of last year called the Move, Eat, Treat Summit, which is organised by a doctor called Joseph Lightfoot, which was an absolutely fantastic conference. A group of doctors there who sort of decided a couple of years ago that there is, they get all this clinical knowledge and they're assessed and become qualified doctors, and it's fantastic, and they provide a fantastic service. But they sort of acknowledge that there's nothing from a lifestyle perspective in their medical training, and they sort of identified that as a gap. So they put together the Move, Eat, Treat Summit and got a variety of professionals together, and I think it's fantastic, and I think that's the way forward. And it was really a case of pulling together all these people who have this interest, the relevant qualifications, professional commitments,
experience,
to lifestyle, improving lifestyle, and bringing them together, sharing ideas, communicating. Fantastic summit, and I think that's really the way forward.
So it sounds like you've had a really phenomenal journey over the last number of months with Green Apple Lifestyle.
Yeah, it's been busy.
Are there 3 major kind of tips that you would give health and fitness professionals, personal trainers, fitness instructors, exercise referral specialists? What's your top 3 tips?
Knowledge is key.
Nice.
Be up to date, CPD, know your stuff. Be passionate about what you're doing and be empathetic to your client, your patient. So, let them take ownership, be actively involved and part of the process, and be congruent, believe in your message, because if you don't believe in your message, your patient or your client, they won't believe in your message.
So 2 key things I've got from today already. I love the word congruence.
Absolutely,
and I love the word empathy. You've got to have empathy with your client.
Absolutely.
I've got 2 quick questions. I know you're buzzing to get into the classroom here, Alex. What are you reading at the moment, and what book would you guide our learners towards?
From a personal perspective, it's a book that I've read very recently, and it had a huge impact on me and my life, more so than I expected. It's a book called Out of the Darkness by a chap called Jeff Thompson. And it was just a book that was given to me by a friend. He said it was a great read. I read it, and it was a really inspiring book about actually making positive changes, having the courage to make the change, believe in yourself, be passionate about, believe in what you want to achieve, and go out and try and achieve it.
Nice. Right, Alex, final question, and I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm going to give you 30 seconds, and we're here in 2014. Childhood obesity has been on the rise. The stats around childhood obesity are really alarming. The problem around clinical conditions is only getting worse. Where do you see us in, say, 20 years' time? We're 2014, let's go for 2034. What's your viewpoint? 30 seconds, 3, 2, 1, off you go.
I think it's going to get worse if we don't really make some really genuinely solid, measurable, tangible changes as a society, central government, local government. We need to start working together, medical professionals, fitness professionals. We've got to start collaborating, we've got to start speaking to each other, and I think transparency is a big one. We've got the National Child Measurement Programme, government do the BMI measurements. It's got its value, it's got its purpose.
Seconds, wrap it up, come on.
But I think we really need to start, we need to put more comprehensive interventions in place, be transparent, communicate, collaborate, and work hard on really reducing this prevalence of this very serious problem.
Fantastic. And I'm sure we could talk, as we have done, for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah.
But as a quick kind of wrap-up interview, that was absolutely fantastic. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks,
so I'm
Neil.
not
Thanks for having me.
going to hold you any longer. We'll head into the Classroom Kickstart on exercise referral.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Alex.
Thanks, Neil. Cheers.
Once again, a huge thank you to Aleks Cox at Green Apple Lifestyle. Keep up to date with how Alex moves over the next couple of months. Go to www.greenapplelifestyle.co.uk. He's also got his Facebook page, Green Apple Lifestyle, and Twitter at Green Apple Limited. From there, Alex also mentioned about the Movie Treat Conference. Again, head towards their website, keep up to date with how they're moving forwards, www.movietreat.org. Outside of that, you've got us at Parallel Coaching, www.parallel-coaching.com. Loads of new courses coming up over the next couple of months. Stay tuned, loads more interviews and audio blogs to come. Take care, guys.